The question is how to mill this earring on a Revo C. I'm going to assume that it's on a Revo C. First up, the layers are a mess. Everything in here should be placed on the correct layer, being gems, metals, whatever. I cannot tell if these are supposed to be gems or not. Can't tell what that is. Is that a gem? Is that an accent in yellow gold? I can't tell. So, assuming that it's a gem, it's on the wrong layer. It should be in the gem layer so that the mill will ignore it. Otherwise, the mill will mill that, and you will get that object in that space. I don't believe that's what you want. I believe you want something with a channel like that. Assuming that this is a support that was originally put in for the earring, that this is the top of the earring and it will hang downward. First thing I would do is eliminate that support. That's in the wrong position. What we're going to do is we're going to mill this as a four-sided job in a stick of wax. So first thing we want to do is grab our model and center it. We go to our utilities, go to center object, center that object. It's now in a strange orientation, but that one happens to work for what we're going to do. Now let's just go ahead and take a look at how this works. I go into Revo C Builder, take that model and throw it in here, and I want to tell it it's going to work on a stick of wax like that. And as you can see, it's in the wrong orientation. It needs to be rotated here in the side view. So let's back out, grab the model, hit rotate. We'll come down here and go F4, and I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now, the way this particular model is built and the way the channel is set up, that's upside down. We would rather have this at the top and mill downward, so we need to actually rotate it another 180 degrees from here, and that's the orientation that I would like to see it in. We can rotate it anywhere we want to here, but a stick of wax is a stick of wax. It's not going to care. Now if I turn this to plastic, I right-clicked on looking down to get that. There's that channel. It works its way all the way down. We can also see that we have a bit of a channel going on here that we can reach for the most part. We have nothing on this solid piece. There are two options. One would be to mill this piece as a separate component and attach it later, and because it's built in a different layer, I am assuming that this is actually going to be milled or manufactured in a different color of metal. In other words, say yellow gold accent on white gold or silver, or vice versa, yellow gold with a white gold or white or silver accent piece. So let's go ahead and just look at taking that piece out. There we go. Now we have one piece. Let's go ahead and recenter that. It will be a little bit moved over. There we are. We do need a support on this. The support's going to go at the bottom. I like my supports on a user layer that I'm used to working with, so I'm going to come up here to solids. I like cylinders. Let's just go from F4, turn all this off. We'll come out about like that. And now I'm going to come down 4 millimeters. So I got a 4 millimeter long by just over 2 millimeter diameter cylinder. Move that down here to the bottom. You can see it's not exactly where we want it to be, so we come down here and we go ahead and move it over. And I'll turn off my grid snaps, hold on my shift key, slide it over. There you have it. That end sticks in, but that's going to be easy enough for anyone that's coming along to clean up afterwards. In fact, I might even stretch it a little bit or change its shape so that it matches up a little bit better, and that can be done by cutting the end off. To cut the end off, I'm going to use my box. I'm going to come up here like this. We're going to make a box like this, just so that's bigger. Obviously it has to be bigger. Then we're going to rotate that box. The easiest way to rotate is to come up here, about the same location, and rotate it like that. I'm going to Boolean difference that off of my support. So here are my Boolean tools. This is my cutter. This is my support, do Booleans. There, it's chopped off nicely. Now I can set that right up against the bottom, and that's a perfect fit. Again, anytime you make changes like that, first thing you want to do, grab the entire model. I like to use the perspective view and put it in a job bag so that you don't lose it if power goes out. Now we go back to our builder, Revo C. We can grab the entire model, including the support, because we're going to just move the support over into this window, and the software automatically picks our stick of wax. I'm going to move down to this one, 1 millimeter at a time, because we're going to mill this in little layers all the way down, and that's how this one little tiny support is going to be able to hold up that entire piece. So there's our 22 millimeter round. If you don't have a 22, you can go to a 26. Let's just go ahead and use 22. I'm going to mill it from 8 sides. I stay with my 03 for virtually every job I work. Flat, I double click part 1, open it up, and I look at my cut depth. Well, we have to be in our through finger view to see that, and you can see that it's way too deep. Click go, click and hold, and drag up. And I'm just going to do the top about like that. Borders automatic 2 millimeters, that's fine. Leave that alone. Now let's get out of here and let's go into the double click that close, double click this open. We have 8 parts. Interestingly enough, it's easier to work from the bottom upwards, so we're going to start at part 8. I want to look at my mill depth. That's not deep enough. I want to get into this area here, so what I'll do is grab that and drag it in like that. Now remember, we're working on a 22 millimeter diameter piece of wax, so leave the roughing pass in. The roughing pass will cut outside and then work its way in. This is a small item being cut out of the smallest wax available. We do that for all of the angular cuts, and this will give us good cleanup on the inside channel as well as the outside channels. Cut angle, again we drag that over like that and hit the enter key. We continue to move along. There's the 4th one, and enter. Subpart 5, cut depth, not deep enough. We want to get all the way through, so we'll come over like that. And as you can see, by working from the bottom up, as we expand these, they push off the bottom of the list out of sight. That's fine. For a cutting depth, cut angle, cut depth, not deep enough. Let's go ahead and move that one a little deeper. Hit the enter key. Subpart 1, cut depth, that's okay. I'm gonna push it over slightly. Let's go ahead and create those toolpaths and look at what we've got. After a considerable amount of time, I'd say in the order of 10 minutes, we now have a toolpath. Let's blow this up, take a look at what's happening here. Starting at the top, here is our flat cut, and the whole purpose of that flat cut is to get into that channel and clean that channel up. There's not much of that channel there, and there's a flat surface here, but to get that corner all nicely milled out is the point of this particular exercise. From here on down, everything else will be taken care of by the outside cuts. You'll also notice that this inside channel is impossible to reach with this tooling. Sorry, it just can't be done. So we'll click here. You'll see we have a roughing pass and then the final pass all the way down, cleaning up the model. That's normal. That's what we asked for. This is 1 millimeter cutting at a time. So what will really happen is we'll cut 1 millimeter down here, stop, and then it will actually rotate to position 5, cut 1 millimeter down, stop, then it'll come back and go to position 3, go to position 2, cut 1 millimeter down, then go to position 6, 3, 7, 8, 4, 8, and then come back around to position 1 and move down a millimeter and start again. And that's how we can cut all the way down. What we want to really take a look at is how here we're going to get on the inside of this channel. So you're actually going to get the channel down here. It's going to fade out up here in the top, which might actually provide a little more structural strength to this because this is quite thin. That's the way you do this kind of a job. It will mill all the way down. You'll see that here there are places where it doesn't mill at all in these passes because it doesn't need to. It can't actually. There's nothing down there it needs to get to because it's being taken care of by the 4 cardinal cuts, left, right, front, back. You see here that we got our depth deep enough to actually reach into the full side of that curve. That's important. We'll get everything that we want. So that's how you do that kind of a model.